Dhiraj Nayyar joining us, Chief Economist at Vedanta. Dhiraj, now you've written a lot about the coal shortage. Explain it to us. Is this a power crisis or is this a coal production crisis?
Well, I mean, in a way it's both, and in a way it's not even a coal production crisis. Let me just explain it to you. I mean, the fact that it's a power crisis, I mean, you may call it a power crisis is because 70% of our power is produced using thermal coal, right? So most of our power in India comes from this source. So any shortfall of the raw material or input would obviously lead to a power crisis. Now, in terms of supply as well, the coal production, in the first 6 months of this year by Coal India, which is pretty much the main supplier of coal in India, is about the same as it was last year, right? And last year, we know at least part of the period was in lockdown. This year as well, April and May, we had the second wave and there was a subdued economic activity. So it's not that the supply necessarily fell a lot, but it's a demand which has gone up because the economic recovery in the last 2 months has been much sharper than people expected. And, the more economic recovery takes place, people use more power, industries use more power. And therefore, there's a demand-supply mismatch. That's what's really happening. Demand is exceeding supply. Now, normally, when demand exceeds supply and you don't have enough domestic production, you just import. The fact is that India anyway imports every year. In normal years, it imports a quarter of its coal consumption. So it produces 3/4 here and 1/4 is imported from abroad. So it's not that domestic production in any case makes up our whole demand. It's always met by imports. But this time, coal prices are 4 times higher than they were last year. That's again because of the global recovery, global liquidity, and the fact that in China as well, they have a shortage of coal and China is importing a lot of coal. So I think it's a mix of many factors come together, which is led us to this crisis. Power producers don't want to import coal at $200 per ton, which is the price right now, because they cannot pass that price on to consumers. Discoms will not renegotiate those contracts. So it's not viable to import at this price. That is why we have a shortage. It's not that domestic supply has fallen too much. Its demand has gone up and we cannot import because of the unviability at the current price. That is why we are in this crunch.
So then, Dhiraj, does that mean that the lights are going to go out across India?
Well, I hope not. There are certain changes which were made in the coal policy, which now even allows, captive coal blocks, those which were meant purely for industrial use to sell surplus in the market. The government can, use its means to import the necessary amount, the shortfall amount. So I'm hopeful it will not be a very big crisis, but there are pockets in the country where coal supply may not reach, where there may be shortages and power cuts. So in some states, I expect it will be there, but I don't expect something as dramatic as a, all India blackout. The good thing is that, the public is aware, the government is aware of what the situation is, and measures are being taken to, address the problem.
All right, Dhiraj, great to have you with us on the show today. Thanks so much for sharing those insights. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the launch of the Indian Space Association, or ISPA, this morning. It's a premier industry association of space and satellite companies which aspires to be the collective voice of the Indian space industry. The association will be undertaking policy advocacy and engaging with stakeholders in the Indian space domain, including the government and its agencies. Additionally, the move of launching the association will ensure the foray of satellites into space, enhancing communications and better internet connectivity. Listen in to what Prime Minister Modi had to say at the launch of the India Space Association.
21वीं सदी में स्पेस दुनिया को जोड़ने में, यूनाइट करने में अहम भूमिका निभाए, ये भारत को सुनिश्चित करना होगा। आज डिफेंस से लेकर स्पेस सेक्टर तक सरकार अपने एक्सपर्टाइज को साझा कर रही है। प्राइवेट सेक्टर के लिए लॉन्च पैड उपलब्ध करवा रही है। आज इसरो की फैसिलिटीज को प्राइवेट सेक्टर के लिए ओपन किया जा रहा है। अब ये सुनिश्चित किया जाएगा कि इस क्षेत्र में जो टेक्नोलॉजी मैच्योर हो चुकी है, उसे प्राइवेट सेक्टर को भी ट्रांसफर किया जाए।
Now, the ISP's founding members include Larsen & Toubro, Nelco from the Tata Group, OneWeb, Bharti Airtel, MapMyIndia, Walter Nagar Industries and Anand Technology Limited. Other core members include Godrej, Hughes India, Azista, BST Aerospace, BEL, Centrum Electronics and Maxar India. Now, the chairperson of Bharti, Sunil Bharti Mittal, spoke at the launch and talked about OneWeb's plan to launch satellites using ISRO's PSLV technology. He said OneWeb will be the first customer which starts to bring a commercial position into the Indian space market. With this new initiative that we've taken, I'm sure more and more international customers will come to the doorstep of ISRO in Asia. We have a great future ahead. The Prime Minister is showing us the way, and it's time for the industry to respond.